Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on, the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead. Thursday, October 9th. Hot streak continues, man. I think we've still only had one losing day in the last, more than 2 weeks now. 2-1 last night. We did lose on the WNBA. Vegas took a 3-0 lead in what I guess is a 7-game series. I thought that it was over. I thought the WNBA finals were 5, but I guess it's a 7-game series. I mean, it pretty much is over because Vegas is up 3-0, but I guess we'll have to handicap tomorrow's game 4, but probably not going to have a play on that one. We were on the Cubs yesterday. That was a winner. Cubs took a 4-1 lead in the first inning and never scored again, but still won the game 4-3. You're up 4-1 in the first inning, man. It's like you really should run away with that game, and they were not able to do that as their offense just fell completely silent. But we still got the game right. I still think the handicap was correct. And then we did get Calgary right. So we started off NHL with a win. Calgary, nice outright win in a shootout. They were losing the game 2-0, and they came back, sent the game into overtime, and won outright in a shootout. So that was pretty big. That was good. We were going to win a little bit if they hit on the +1.5 puck line, but obviously you want them to win the whole thing outright, man, and that is what we got on that one. So Calgary with the win for us there. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Jeffrey, I think it was you who pointed out that Wolf, I don't know if you were joking or not, but Wolf is undefeated during a full moon, although the full moon was actually Monday and Tuesday, so it was not the full moon last night, although close. The harvest moon or whatever. But we got it right on Calgary. We got a lot of games today, man. I'm not going to break down every single hockey game today. I mean, it's just too many hockey games, but we're going to talk about some of it. I'm going to have 3 plays today, and they're all in hockey. I'm not going to have any plays in football or baseball today. Yeah, it was close to a full moon, though. Wolf still got it right. Baseball, we got 2 games in baseball here. The first one up is going to be Philadelphia and LA. And by the way, I am celebrating the fact that the Yankees got eliminated yesterday. So I will say that, obviously. Toronto wins the series. The other series, all are continuing, which is crazy. Toronto, the first team to advance to the league championship series. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. They're going to face the winner of Seattle and Detroit tomorrow. Milwaukee and the Dodgers are both up 2-1 here, and those series are both happening today. Philadelphia is at L.A. here, and we know what the starting pitching matchup is here. There was fairly light bullpen usage yesterday for both teams. I don't love either bullpen, but the usage was light. Each team used a few relief pitchers. The bullpens are in good shape, I mean, at least as far as these bullpens are concerned. Both offenses good. Dodgers offense is the better one, especially at home. But they're going to have to contend with Christopher Sanchez, who is Philadelphia's ace at this point. 2.5 ERA, 1.06 whip this year. He was a little bit worse on the road, 3.02 ERA. Still really good, though. Had a good final month of the season with a 31-3 strikeout walk ratio, 1.65 ERA. In the first game against the Dodgers in this series, he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, had 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. They wound up losing the game, although it was a pretty good start from him, but a little bit inefficient with his pitches, so he didn't last too long in the game. The Dodgers have been able to get to him a little bit. He went 7 innings the other time at LA in mid-September. Gave up 4 earned runs in that one. Good command numbers, though. 6 strikeouts, no walks. So Sanchez is still good, and generally against the Dodgers, he is good. And 123 at-bats, 32-7 strikeout walk ratio, 244 average allowed, and 691 OPS. So he does do pretty well against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are going to go with Tyler Glasnow. 3.19 ERA, 1.1 whip for him. He had a shortened season, so he's going to be fresh, at least, because he didn't pitch that much this season. I think the Dodgers are basically like, let's just get our pitchers healthy for the playoffs once we get there, and then we'll figure everything out. He was better at home, 2.77 home ERA. His last couple of starts were short, but I think they did that intentionally to keep him even more fresh. He had too many walks in September, though. 11 walks, 25 strikeouts, so his wildness was a little bit of a concern, although the Dodgers did win his last 5 games, including the game that he pitched in this series, but he actually pitched in relief earlier in this series against Philadelphia, so strange. His last start of the regular season, he only went 3 innings, a shutout ball against Seattle, and then in this series, for whatever reason, they brought him in from the bullpen, and he actually wasn't that good. He went 1 2/3 innings. He gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, and had 2 strikeouts. He got out of it without allowing a run, but he put 4 guys on base, so that's not great. I mean, I do still think he's good, and he's getting the start here, so I'm not expecting him to be terrible here, but against Philly, his numbers are a little bit worse than what we just saw from Sanchez in the matchup. 69 at-bats, 24-11 strikeout walk ratio, 246 average allowed, 741 OPS allowed. So, yeah, I still don't think he's going to do bad, but Sanchez might actually have the upper hand here, and the money is actually coming in towards the Philadelphia side. The Dodgers dropped from -135 to -125 on the money line, 66% of tickets, 65% of the cash. So the Dodgers are public here, public expecting them to get this done, and they really do not want to have to go to a decisive Game 5 in Philadelphia, man. I mean, the Dodgers, I know they won both games in Philly. It was looking like the series was over, and then Philly got a monster win last night. I think the final was like 8-1 or something, or maybe it was 8-3. What was it? 8-2. I got both of those were wrong. Yeah, but the Dodgers, obviously, they do not want to have to go to Philadelphia, where Philadelphia is a lot better. As far as the total, I mean, I think under in the first 5 innings somewhat makes sense here with these 2 starting pitchers. They're both really good. 7.5 is the total on the full game. 86% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the over. So the money kind of coming in on the over, but the over is public. I would lean towards an under. I mean, even the full game, maybe, even though I don't like the bullpens, but they're at least rested here. So do with that information what you will, though I actually think the better way to play this is actually the Philadelphia money line here, believe it or not. I mean, the money is coming in that way. I think Sanchez may very well actually be able to outpitch Glasnow in this one. Matchup numbers are a little bit better, but it's slight. So, I mean, I'm not going to give out a play on that. The under in the Liberty game, yeah, I didn't even see what happened in that game, but yeah, that was my lean in that one. Yeah, I mean, didn't feel like it was strong. Glasnow blew up in the rain in Philly, so I don't even remember that. But it's not raining in L.A. here, right? I would imagine it's not. Priester, yeah, Priester. He's not as good as his numbers look, basically. Which, yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for a while, but I was trying to find like spots to actually like fade him though, because I didn't necessarily want to fade him either. But in that spot last night, I did, and he did not do well, obviously. But the Milwaukee bullpen actually did pitch really well in the game, and we almost didn't get it. But Cubs had the lead the whole game, and they held on to it. And speaking of that series, we have no idea who the starting pitchers are, so it's very difficult to handicap this one. Milwaukee and the Cubs, they both use a decent amount of their bullpens they're both pretty good bullpens, but we saw a lot of usage yesterday. 4 relievers from Milwaukee. Cubs used 5. So the bullpen's not exactly totally intact here. Cubs had to use some of their higher leverage arms to finish the game off yesterday in a close game. Milwaukee is up 2-1 in the series here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can even guess who the starting pitchers are going to be in this one, man. I mean, I don't know if I want to even speculate because I don't want to really handicap something that's not going to happen. So it's going to be difficult to figure this out. I mean, I don't know if both teams are looking at it, maybe even going bullpen game here. It looks like the Cubs, their next starter up would be Colin Ray, but he's been coming out of the bullpen, so it very well may be a bullpen game for the Cubs, or they'll go all the way back to Matthew Boyd in this one. Cade Horton is out, and they kind of need him in this rotation, man. Even though he's a rookie, I think he was so good this season. Not having him is bad. Milwaukee also suffering with their starting pitcher rotation here as well, as they don't have Brandon Woodruff, and they kind of need him back. I don't even remember them using Quintana at all. Maybe he's come out of the bullpen. When does he pitch? Is he pitching today? He did pitch. He pitched yesterday in relief, I guess. He came in and pitched 3 innings, so he's not likely to get the nod here. So what the fuck is Milwaukee going to do? Are they going to go all the way back to Freddie Peralta? Or are they going to go with a bullpen game too? Doesn't look good. So by the looks of it, I might take a shot on the over in that game as it stands right now, just having no idea what the pitching is going to look like in that game, and it doesn't look that good, so over might make sense there. The total did go up from a very low 6.5 juice to the under all the way up to 7 juice to the over. If you want the over, it's best to get it over 7 so you don't have to go over the 7 with the hook. But yeah, I think the over might make sense there. And that is baseball, man. We'll go to hockey. I'm going to have a bunch of hockey plays here. I'm going to talk about some of the games real quick just to kind of hit some of these. Chicago and Boston, both teams played already. Chicago came within 1 of, who the hell were they playing? Florida, the returning champs, Florida. Chicago went on the road to Florida 2 days ago and only lost 3-2. Although if you look at the game statistically, Florida dominated the game, but on the scoreboard it was close. So Chicago is coming off a close game against the defending champs. So that was a big game for them. But the Bruins, my Bruins, got a win last night. I told you I did kind of like the underdog there. I think I kind of leaned to every underdog, and 3 of the 4 won last night. 2 in shootouts. I think that those were kind of my leans, and maybe not LA because LA was on a back-to-back. I don't remember. But yeah, Chicago had that big game 2 days ago. The Bruins are on a back-to-back. They got the win against Washington yesterday. Swayman was indeed good in the game yesterday. Bruins with a 3-1 win. Bruins coming back home on a back-to-back here, so they don't have any rest here. So I just don't like the spot for either team in this one. This is not a play for me. Boston up from -140 to -162. I've got my Bruins hat on here, trying to give them good vibes. I mean, they were projected to be the last place team in their entire division. I think that that's going way too far. I don't think they're going to be the last place team. I think they're going to be in the mix to try to make the playoffs. I mean, based on what their talent level is, I just think we're totally overlooking them after how bad they were last season, after everything just kind of fell apart. Bruins getting a decent favorite price here on this one, although we know Chicago's still not that great. 63% of tickets, 92% of the cash coming in on Boston. So the money is coming in on Boston. I don't think I would want to do it, though. We don't know what the goalie matchup is going to be here either. It looks like it's going to be Swayman again here. So I don't know if that's really going to be the case or not against Soderblom, I guess, is the projected matchup at least, but it's unconfirmed right now, so I don't know. If the Bruins are going to go with Swayman, I mean, he's a grinder, so are they really going to use him 2 nights in a row? They might. We will see. Rangers at Buffalo. I actually do like the Rangers in this one. My hesitation on this is that it's Buffalo's home opener. It's their first game. So that could be good and it could be bad. I mean, with their home opener, the team's going to get up for it. But I think the Rangers are being undervalued here just because they've looked like ass. Like they missed the playoffs last year, and I think they were a lot better than that. They got shut out 3-0 in this game against Pittsburgh, So the Rangers have already played this year, but that gives them a game under their belt. So that's the one thing. I think that sometimes is an advantage when you've already played. And they played, I believe, 2 days ago. So they have a little bit of rest here. they're only traveling to Buffalo, which isn't much of a travel spot here. Rangers, probably the better team. And the Rangers were a huge favorite against Pittsburgh. So I think the fact that they lost that game, it's going to anger them. And this game was closer than the final score looked, man. Yeah, Pittsburgh did outshoot them a bit. Pittsburgh outface-off them. Rangers were the more physical team in the game, though, with the hits. But it was a misleading final because it was a 1-0 game until very late in the game. Pittsburgh actually scored 2 empty net goals. So it was not really a 3-0 game. So you got to look at those empty netters, man, that skew what the final score looked like. I'm kind of tempted on this one. Do you want me to give a 4 hockey plays? This is the one that's like, it's the one that I have left off my card right now, and I kind of want to do it. I just don't necessarily want to go against Buffalo in their home opener. We'll skip it, but I like the Rangers here. I think you're getting a really cheap price on them. They're down from -115 to -110. I think they're still clearly the better team here. It looks like you're going to get Shesterkin again for the Rangers here. I mean, he is an elite goalie still, in my opinion. So I think you're going to have the goalie edge with the Rangers if you do play the Rangers here. They got 52% of tickets, 96% of the cash on this one. So I do like the Rangers. I just don't necessarily want to go against a team in their home opener, man. That's just kind of my one hesitation with it. Buffalo's going to get up for that game because it is still the Rangers. So it is a big game for Buffalo. Jay Main, what's up? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out. Rangers, you want them in regulation? I mean, I don't know what. The price is fine on the full game, right? Like, I wouldn't go regulate. In regulation, you'll have to pay more of a price for it, right? Or no, you pay less of a price. It's cheaper, right? You'll get an underdog price if you want to go with them regulation. But I don't think it's too expensive to just play them in the full game, though. You want me to go for it? I'm going to skip it, but we'll be mad when the Rangers wind up winning the game. Yeah, so that's one of my stronger leans, though, in hockey. Montreal just won last night, they lost last night against Toronto. But if you look at what happened in this game, this is a big game. I mean, these two teams, they show up against each other. They hate each other. Looking at what happened in this game was a lot closer than the final score. Like, Montreal was winning early in the second period. It was tied going into the third period. And then it was a 1-goal game until late in the game. And you got 2 empty nets in this one as well from Toronto to make it a 5-2 final. And it was definitely closer than that final looked. Montreal actually outshot Toronto in the game, although Toronto completely outface off them, which I'm not really surprised by that. But they out-hit Montreal, which kind of surprises me because I usually consider Toronto to be more of a finesse team, like not as physical, but they get a lot of shots off. But Toronto won that game kind of in misleading fashion, but it doesn't mean Montreal's on a back-to-back here. Having to go to Detroit, and it's Detroit's home opener. I think the crowd's going to be crazy. Detroit had a down year last year, but that's still a hockey town. They're an original 6 team. It's a chance to hit the reset button, so yeah, I mean, even though Montreal had kind of a misleading result last night, I would play Detroit in this game if I was going to play this game. Montreal still no rest on the back-to-back, and it looks like Montreal is actually not going with – it's already confirmed, actually, because this game is actually a noontime game. Is that right? We have a lot of afternoon hockey today. Is that right? No, why does it say noon? This is all night. I'm like, wait, what? There's afternoon hockey? No, these are all night games. I don't know what the fuck. We're in the wrong time zone here with this daily face-off. Oh, no, that was just when they confirmed. My apologies. Wait, that makes no sense either because it's not noon yet Eastern. What the fuck? I don't even know what's going on here. But Montreal, it's already confirmed they're not going to go with Montembeault in this one. They're going with Dobes. I don't know how you pronounce his name. So they're going with their backup goalie in this one. So Montreal could definitely be at a goalie disadvantage in this game. Although, of course, when you do that, that means your backup goalie is going to be rested, but obviously he's usually not as good, so that's kind of the trade-off there. I usually like to go against the backup goalies, although sometimes I'll go against an unrested starting goalie as well. So those are kind of the two. I usually go against backup goalies or unrested starting goalies. Not necessarily want to jump on a rested backup goalie, though. It depends who it is. But yeah, so I think it is a downgrade for Montreal there. I would lean to Detroit in that one. We got a lot of other matchups here. A lot of these teams haven't played yet. Florida did play, of course. They had their big banner-raising ceremony. So I would probably look to go against Florida after that, after they won that game. Although it was a misleading result. Like I said, they dominated the game against Chicago and only won 3-2. They had a huge shot edge in the game, I'm pretty sure. So all of that kind of going on here. Florida, of course, you're paying a huge price for them, though. Down from -200 to -196. 72% of tickets, 74% of the cash on them. So even though it looks like the cash is kind of coming out of them, I don't really think so. I think there is probably a little bit of value in fading them. Philadelphia, still kind of a proud hockey city there. They're going to step it up. I mean, they're going to show up for a game against Florida. I would probably lean to the underdog in that one, maybe grabbing like a puck line or something like that, but I don't want to actually do it, obviously. Florida's still the better team and coming off kind of a misleading result. I don't have a whole lot to say about some of these other games, man. There's some other big matchups, but they're matchups between teams that both haven't played yet, like New Jersey and Carolina. Should be a good game. Carolina's a decent-sized favorite there. They're still the better team. The money coming in on New Jersey, though. New Jersey had a surprisingly good season last year, although Carolina is still the better of the two teams. Up from -155 to -164. 81% of tickets on them. 69% of the cash on New Jersey, so I'm just pointing that out. Minnesota, St. Louis. St. Louis, after they got Montgomery, after the Bruins got rid of him, he coached St. Louis to a playoff berth, and they actually played pretty well in the playoffs, too. Minnesota, also a playoff team last year. So this is an interesting matchup, and I actually think, do these teams face each other in the playoffs? Let me see. This could be a revenge motive here. I didn't actually really look at that, and I have a revenge motive on my card. No, St. Louis got eliminated by Winnipeg. That's right, but they played Winnipeg pretty close. I think they took them to 7 games. So there's no revenge motive here, but it's an interesting game nonetheless. I think these teams are in the same division, if I'm not mistaken, too. So it's a big game for both teams, man. The money looks like it's kind of coming in on Minnesota, although Minnesota is also kind of a public underdog. 69% of tickets, 78% of the cash on them. St. Louis up from -106 to -125 on the money line. So St. Louis is getting some respect with that money line price there, but it looks like some of the money coming back and taking Minnesota. I mean, it is possible that St. Louis overperformed a little bit last year, although I thought Minnesota way overperformed last year, too. I thought Minnesota, they were that team that had, like, this really good record, and I'm like, they're not as good as this record would tell you. So this is a difficult handicap, actually. I'm not sure which way I would want to go there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. You want the Rangers in regulation. I mean, you'll get a better price if you do that. -2.5. You want Rangers -2.5. Wait, Toronto regulation. Oh, last night. Toronto -2.5 in hockey is just insanity, dude. I don't know why you would do that. Teams are rarely gonna they're rarely gonna win by that amount, man. This is hockey. Buffalo Wild Wings, yeah, do the Blazing Wings, blow out your ass, whatever. Fail to get all the blazing sauce off your hands and then take a piss and numb your dick like I did that time. Tocchet's, however you pronounce, Touche, his first game with the Flyers. That's right. I forget what these different coaching scenarios are, man. Columbus at Nashville, I'm just going to point out because this is an interesting read in this game. I mean, Nashville just so underperformed last year, man. But now the money's coming in on Columbus, even though I thought Columbus was like just overperforming last year. They were one of those teams that just didn't have good goaltending, but they kept winning games somehow and almost made the playoffs. 71% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Columbus here. So Columbus getting some public tickets here, and they're also getting the money. Nashville down from -137 to -120. So market read looks like it is on Columbus here, grabbing them as an underdog. I mean, I think some of it is based on how bad Nashville was last year, though. And I'm still not sure Nashville is actually that bad. They still have Saros in net here. These teams haven't played yet, so it's going to be Saros against Elvis for Columbus. I think Saros is still one of the better goalies in the league, man. So I don't know. Kind of weird. Columbus getting a lot of the money there. Some of the games I'm skipping here, I'm going to give out plays, so I'm going to do that in a second. Utah has now changed from the Utah Hockey Club to the Utah Mammoth. So this is going to be their first game as the Mammoth. It's not the worst name. I mean, it kind of sounds badass in a way. The Mammoth. It also sounds like fucking, what's the the dude's name, Eddie Van Halen's son or whatever the hell, Wolfgang Van Halen, is that his name? He's in a band called Mammoth, I'm pretty sure. They're actually pretty good. But yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. I'm not a Van Halen fan, but Mammoth is actually pretty good. But yeah, Utah Mammoth, who used to be the Phoenix Coyotes or whatever, so they are still basically Phoenix from a couple of years ago. They played decently in their first season last year. They're going up against Colorado, though. Not easy to play at Colorado. Colorado's still good. Colorado already played and won pretty easily at LA, although that might make them look too good here. But Colorado does at least have a game under their belt. They didn't play yesterday either. And this is their home opener. Colorado up from minus 155 to minus 175. Don't see the percentages yet on this, but it looks like Colorado is getting some of the actual money here, it seems. So keep that in mind there. And then I will point out Vegas at San Jose here. Vegas went into a shootout last night against LA. Huge game. Both teams, had a really, really tough game, man. This is a game that was just kind of back and forth. LA had the lead a couple of times early in the game. Vegas caught up, actually took the lead 5-3, and then blew it, giving up a shorthanded goal. Lost, they gave up another goal, went into overtime, and then they wound up losing in a shootout. Just a brutal loss for Vegas here, man. And now they have to turn around, no time off, and go on the road here. It's a bad spot for them, man. Going to face San Jose, although San Jose is terrible. So you're getting a good underdog price if you want to get San Jose here. If you're looking at the what we're looking at for the goalie matchup here. By the way, Minnesota St. Louis is Gustafson against Binnington. Same goaltending matchup that we would have had last year. I mean, those are the starters from last year as well. They're both decent goalies, although they've had stretches where they haven't been very good. This San Jose game, though, Vegas is going with their backup goalie here. Aiden Hill played last night. They're going with Schmid tonight against Askarov. Is going to get the... you can ask around about him. The Sharks, I mean, they just have had bad goaltending, man, for a while. I don't know how good Askarov really is here. If you're going to play this game, I mean, I lean to San Jose for sure, but Vegas is definitely public. 94% of tickets, 99% of the cash coming in on them. It is a bad spot for Vegas, but they're up from minus 175 to minus 193. I don't really want to touch it, but you could look to the San Jose puck line in this one if you want to do it. I think an over is worth a look in this game too, although it was at 5.5, but it was heavily juiced, so really it wasn't. It's kind of been sitting at 6, although it's crept up a little bit. But I just think San Jose, I mean, the one concern about the over is that is San Jose, they haven't played yet. So, like, is their offense going to be, like, ready to go? But that's the one question here. You're getting a backup goalie for Vegas, though, and San Jose's goaltending just, I don't think is very good. So an over might make sense in that one. But I think still it's probably the better look is probably still the San Jose side in that one. Utah has to win for Charlie Kirk. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Utah is where it happened, although he's not actually from Utah, right? I mean, I don't know, man. Let's go to my actual plays here. We'll make it the best bet segment. That was the breakdown, whatever. And then we got to talk about football. This isn't going to be that long of a video. Hey, we're efficient today. My hockey is efficient. I'm just not talking about every single hockey game. It's just impossible. But I'm going to have 3 hockey plays. First one up, we're going to go with the Islanders on the money line, minus 130. I know this is a road team, but we're not fading. So we are fading Pittsburgh in their home opener, yes, but Pittsburgh is coming off a huge game, man. A game that I think actually means more than this home opener. The Islanders just seem to be kind of under the radar quite a bit, man. And there's a reason why the Islanders are favored on the road here. The odds makers are telling you the Islanders are the better of these two teams. We could have gotten a better price maybe earlier, but hockey, money line, minus 130, I think is still a decent shot on this one. They're up from minus 115 to minus 130. 55% of tickets coming in on Pittsburgh. So the public, they like the Pittsburgh name. They like what they just saw out of Pittsburgh. 97% of the cash, though, saying, no, we're going to go with the Islanders. There's a reason, again, why the Islanders are favored on the road. They're the better team, although I know Pittsburgh has a game under their belt. So, yes, they do have momentum. Yes, this is their home opener, but that was a huge win over the Rangers, man. Whenever you beat the Rangers like that, it's a big win, and they shut them out 3-0, and they looked better than they actually were in that game. As I pointed out, Pittsburgh had 2 empty net goals at the end of that game, so that game was a lot closer. So Pittsburgh, I think, is being I don't want to say they're necessarily being overvalued in the market because they're a home underdog here, but there's a reason why they're a home underdog. They look better than they actually are right now. They're still not that good, in my opinion. The public has a different opinion of it. Pittsburgh's kind of in this rebuild mode now where we're kind of out of that, like, Crosby, whatever, the Crosby phase, Crosby, Malkin, whatever. Like, those guys, I don't even know if they're both still there, but they're both so old now. Pittsburgh's going to have to enter a new era here, man, and I think the Rangers are flying under the radar. And what makes this better is that for the Islanders, For the Islanders, we're getting their starting goalie because this is their first game. So we're getting Sorokin for the Islanders. Pittsburgh's going with their second-string goalie, Silovs, in net because they used what's his face? They used Jari last night, or 2 nights ago, excuse me. So Pittsburgh is going with their other goalie here. So I think we do have a goaltending edge for the Islanders as well here. I like it. I think the situation is good for it. I think we get the benefit of the goaltending matchup here. Islanders will be the first play there. Gibraltar, 14 parlay. What are we even talking about? Who the fuck is Gibraltar? Soccer? I don't know what we're talking about. I don't do anything with soccer. How does Gibraltar even have any sort of sports team, though? They're like a rock, like entering the Mediterranean. They're a territory owned by England, I believe. I don't fucking know. I don't know what's going on there. Although they're at the southern tip of Spain. Next up, we're going to go with Winnipeg, minus 104. This one's probably easier to stomach because Winnipeg was really good last year. They're playing Dallas, and this is basically the crux of this is they're going to remember what happened last year, man. Winnipeg had the best record in the Western Conference last year, and I pointed out Winnipeg, they were great in the regular season, but remember I pointed out I thought they were going to fall short in the playoffs just because that's just the way that it goes for them. I thought they were being overvalued a little bit. Dallas was a more complete team. I'm not going to disagree that maybe Dallas is still the more complete team, but I think this is a huge game for Winnipeg. It's their home opener, and it's revenge for against Dallas because, as you remember, Dallas eliminated Winnipeg from the playoffs last year in the second round of the playoffs. So Winnipeg, they're going to want to get back at Dallas, man. It's one of the only types of revenge that matters. When you play the team that ended your season last year, you're going to go all out. And Winnipeg was really good at home last year. They were really, really difficult to beat at home last year. So I think we have a pretty big home advantage here, although I know because Dallas played an entire series against Winnipeg last year. Yes, Dallas is used to going up there. The travel isn't as bad because I know it's the first game of the season for both teams, but I think Winnipeg's really going to show up for this one, man. And we're going to get the starting goalie matchup that makes sense in this one. It's going to be Ottinger against Hellebuck. I don't see where it is here, but we know. I mean, these are both good goaltenders, but I still think Hellebuck is the better of the two. I think he's still the best goalie in the league, man. And Winnipeg, they did improve their offense last year, so they're a bit more of a complete team than they had been in the past, where they were more like goaltending defense before. Now they're kind of good on both sides. Dallas is too, but I think the revenge motive puts this over the top. We're going to go with Winnipeg. They're public, but the money is kind of agreeing with it. They got 90% of the tickets, 99% of the cash right now. With these hockey reads, I mean, you got to kind of take the public percentage with a little bit of grain of salt because even though, yeah, this is probably going to be one of the bigger bet hockey games because it's between two good teams, so it's going to have more focus than some of these other games. But the ticket percentage, a lot of those tickets are professional bets. I mean, plus you have other sports going on. You got NFL tonight. You got baseball playoffs. So hockey kind of takes a back seat to those things still, even though I know the regular season just started. So the hockey is less publicly bet than the other sports. So when you see 90%, it's not as crazy as it would be in like football or something. Like 90% in football, oh shit, that's a really public side. In hockey, not quite as much. So you can find some plays where it looks like you're on the public side, but it can still be the correct side. I mean, I'm not saying the public's always wrong in like the NFL even, but I think it's better it's less good to play a public team in like football where the public is just like all over it and there's just a huge amount of bets on that game, whereas with hockey, there are fewer bets, so the percentage of tickets gets skewed because a higher percentage of those overall bets are professional bets, if that makes sense. Dallas is up from minus 106 to minus 108. You're getting a pretty cheap price on Winnipeg here. You're getting them as basically a home underdog here against the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year at home. Yeah, we'll go with Winnipeg in this one. I like it. It was soccer. Yeah, I don't do anything with soccer. I know there's value to be had, but there's just so much to pay attention to. And I know you said we're hot in hockey, but I'm not going to force anything in hockey. And we got one win last night. We're 1-0, so I don't think that qualifies as hot. And the final play of the day is going to be a split bet on the Vancouver Canucks, -1.5 on the puck line at +130, and the money line -200. And when you have a split like this, you want to make your own -1 puck line on this. I talk about doing this in baseball, though baseball is so close that I usually just kind of split it evenly between the two. But there's this calculator here where I used to use a different site, but this one by Johnny Ma, who, I don't know, he's probably some Asian dude, some nerd. You can input all the data you want here. You can put the amount in that you want to either win or risk. I do it, my standard bet size is to win $300. And then you put in, I select American odds on this, and then you can put in the -200 on the money line, the +130 on the run line. It tells you how to make the exact what like amounts you want to put on each half of the wager or each part of the wager to make it an exact -1 puck line. Or this is for baseball run lines, but it's the same for puck lines. So you can see here the amount to win on the money line is going to be exactly the same as the amount to risk on the money line. And that, of course, makes it exactly the -1 puck line in this case, where if Vancouver wins by exactly 1, it means the bet's going to push, because it means you won this money line bet, which you put more money on. You won that 130.44, but you lost the 130.44 on the -1.5, right? So it winds up being a push in that case. So this is the way that I would do it. You basically wind up laying, they show you what the implied odds are on the -1 line that you just created. You might be able to find an actual -1 puck line at some of these books now too. They do, like DraftKings does it with baseball with the run lines, but I still think you get better value maybe if you do it this way, because you can find like better odds at different books for each part of the bets. You can maybe find better odds that way. The implied -1 odds on this is at -130, which definitely knocks the price way down. So that's what we're going to do here. I like Vancouver in this game. We don't see any of the percentages yet, but they did go up from -185 to -200. We're fading Calgary, man. We were just on Calgary last night. We know what they did. They had a huge win against the Edmonton Oilers in a shootout. I mean, that's a huge game for the Flames, man. It's their in-province rival there, and with the Oilers. Flames have taken the backseat to the Oilers for a long time now in Alberta. Giant win. The Flames seem to always get up when they play the Oilers, man. And they did. They were losing 3-0 in that game last night. I only saw when it was 2-0, and I was like, I don't even want to look. And then they came all the way back, and they tied it early in the third period, sent it into overtime, and won in a shootout. Just a huge win, man. And Calgary, they kind of got outplayed in the game, man. They were the more physical team, though, and yes, they did win the face-off battle, but they got outshot in the game, which, when you're a team that was down 3-0 at one point in the game, the fact that you got outshot is not that good, because when you're down 3-0, you're firing shots at that point, basically, to try to catch up. So that's not great that Edmonton outshot them 35-22. So the game wasn't maybe as good as it looked for the Flames, although they were the more physical team. They might be the more physical team here, too, against the Canucks. The Flames also had some discipline problems here, as they had 18 penalty minutes to Edmonton's 8. So not all is good for the Flames, but now they're on a back-to-back, and they got to play a second straight road game here. 2 road games in 2 days. That's a bad spot, man, coming off such a grueling game and massive win. And this is going to be Vancouver's home opener, and they're just sitting there in wait, and Vancouver is the better team. I know Vancouver beat Calgary twice in preseason, but who the fuck cares about preseason? Vancouver did dominate them, though. But we're also going to get a second-string goalie for Calgary, which I guess Calgary doesn't have Vladar anymore. They're going with Devin Cooley, although it's unconfirmed right now. It seems likely it's going to be him, with Wolf having played last night. So I don't like the goaltending setup for the Flames here either, man. You're either going to get a completely unrested Wolf coming into this, or you're going to get the backup goalie, Cooley, here, going up against Vancouver's starter, which is Demko. So I think you're going to get a goaltending edge here with Vancouver as well. There's a reason why Vancouver is priced the way that they are here. They're the better team. Vancouver was a little bit of an undervalued team last year. I'm no real fan of Vancouver. I mean, my Bruins were able to win that really pretty grueling, physical Stanley Cup final back when I was in the hospital with a stroke back in 2011. So that it made the Bruins versus Vancouver become like this much, much bigger rivalry. And Vancouver was a cheap team in that series, man. And the Bruins just physically punished them. And that's what you want, man. As a Bruins fan, you want that physical punishing style that the Bruins usually have played throughout their past. That was a great series. That was what the Bruins did in that series. But anyway, Vancouver, I do think they're better than what they looked last year. I think they still made the playoffs last year, too, if I'm not mistaken, right? I forget, but they're a better team than Calgary. They're better than they kind of looked last year. It's a good spot to play them. It's a bad spot for Calgary, so go with Vancouver. Don't bet against Wolf. I mean, I don't know that Wolf is really that good, but I liked how it's set up for Calgary last night. I'm not a fan of Edmonton's goaltending, as you know. And Edmonton, I mean, they blew a 3-0 lead. You see Edmonton blow leads like that a lot, man, with Skinner. I just don't think he's that good. Let's go to football here. It's not going to be a terribly long video, though longer than what I've done the last couple of days because there's a lot of sports here to deal with. Thursday, lots of hockey here, but we got lots of bad conference college football. I'm not going to have any plays on these college football games, man. These are ugly, ugly fucking games. Some are in the Conference USA. Some are in the American. Louisiana Tech at Kennesaw State. Some real epic matchups here, man. The Louisiana Tech is actually pretty good. They've been pretty solid this year. I believe they're 4-1. And 2-0 in the Conference USA so far. Kennesaw's playing a lot better than they did last year, man. So Kennesaw, they're on their way up. I mean, they were new to FBS the last couple of years, or maybe just last year. They had a really bad season last year, but they're definitely playing more competitively this year. Although La Tech, I think, has played the more difficult schedule. They did play at LSU, which was actually one of my plays back in one of the early weeks. It was a bad spot for LSU, and La Tech played pretty well in that game. They beat New Mexico State, who's been decent in this conference. They beat Southern Miss, who's also been pretty decent. So they have a couple of decent games here, La Tech does, but they are playing a second straight road game, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. These teams, I think, both played last Saturday. So some of these teams are going to have different rest scenarios than other teams somewhat. But Kennesaw, I mean, their wins are all really unimpressive, man. I mean, yes, I know they did play pretty well against Wake Forest, so against an ACC team, although one of the bottom ACC teams. Although Wake's looking more competitive than we expected. They got blown out by Indiana, so they did play the best, probably the best team that either of these teams faced. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Sorry to LSU fans, but I don't know, man. Indiana might be better than LSU. I don't know. So both of these teams did play one really good team, but Kennesaw's wins are very unimpressive, man. They beat Merrimack, FCS team there. Arkansas State, I had Kennesaw in that game. Arkansas State isn't very good, and they were in a really bad spot there. And then Kennesaw beat Middle Tennessee. I mean, they're a really bad team as well, which I think they looked pretty bad last night too, right? Yeah, they lost to Missouri State, Justin's team there. Only by 2, though, but Kennesaw, their resume is less impressive here. They are staying at home, though. This is going to be their 4th home game in a row. So the travel spot is worse for Louisiana Tech. But the money's coming in on Louisiana Tech after they dropped from 6.5 to 5.5. 55% of tickets on Kennesaw, but 52% of tickets on La Tech. La Tech, the resume is more impressive. Like I said, they're the better team. The odds makers are telling you they're the better team. If I was going to play it, I would probably still go with that and agree with the market here. I think, they're the better team. They're going to be more used to playing on a Thursday night schedule like this, which I don't think Kennesaw has done yet. So even though it's a big game for them, though, it's on ESPNU. I mean, this is going to be one of the first times that Kennesaw gets to host one of these. I don't know. Maybe they did it last year. I don't remember. But Kennesaw's a little bit less used to this, so that can kind of go both ways where they can get really up for the game because they don't usually get this, like, national TV billing like this on an isolated game like this, but they're also kind of not used to the scheduling shift, so I don't know. Slightly lean to La Tech because they are the better team, better resume, although second straight road game, a little bit difficult there. That's at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We'll go in chronological order here, and even though the last game on the board is next, but it is East Carolina and Tulane in an American Conference matchup here. Tulane, 6.5-point favorite. They've dropped a little bit, 52% of tickets on them, but the money is coming in, taking the points with East Carolina, 65% of the cash on East Carolina. Again, like I said, I don't have a good gauge on any of these games. This game's actually on ESPN. East Carolina 3-2 so far, 1-0 in conference. Their most difficult game was they hosted BYU, and they were pretty non-competitive in that game. Although I think East Carolina did have some turnovers in that game, I believe, that made it look worse than it was. It was a difficult spot for BYU, and East Carolina didn't do that well. Yeah, they actually played pretty close statistically, but yeah, they were -2 in turnovers. So East Carolina did actually play better in that game than it looked. They were able to beat Army, even though Army was going to throw the triple option at them. So there was that. They played North Carolina State close in their first game too, which I don't want to remember because I laid the points with NC State in that one. Going with the revenge for the bowl angle. And NC State had a chance to cover that one too, so I was kind of pissed about it. East Carolina played them pretty decent, pretty close. So East Carolina, they haven't played too badly this year. Looking at Tulane, and actually I want to see what the rest scenarios. I looked at all this earlier, but I want to just double check. So East Carolina played, I guess, 2 Thursdays ago. Is that right? So they've had basically 2 weeks off. Tulane played on that Saturday. So East Carolina has a couple of extra days rest, but both teams have more than a week rest here. So at that point, I don't know if the rest matters that much. Tulane coming in off that win over Tulsa. I mentioned that it was a bad spot for Tulsa coming off that big win, I think, over Oklahoma State, I believe. So it was a bad spot for Tulsa. Tulane, they did play Northwestern, Duke, and Ole Miss, and they got blasted by Ole Miss. So they've played some okay teams in some of the better conferences. So their resume isn't unimpressive, really. They've had to play 3 road games so far, too, and they've won 2 of the 3. So that's not unimpressive. For East Carolina, though, we're going to look at basically treat what they did like a bye, though. So they went into the bye on a good note against Army. So I do talk about that, too. When you come out of the bye that you went into on a good note, you don't have a whole lot to fix. So I do think that's a little bit of a detriment to East Carolina. Actually having that extra rest I don't think is as helpful. But it's a big ESPN game on Thursday. It's a conference game, so I think both teams will show up for this. And you're not going to overlook Tulane, who's sitting at 4-1 and 1-0 in conference right now. So I think that's part of the reason why the money coming in East Carolina, but I don't have a good gauge on that one. Cal plus 1.5. Against Duke, you mean? I did not have a good gauge on that game at all. There were handicappers on both sides of that game that I listened to. My initial instinct on that game was Duke, and then as the money kind of shifted, I kind of was like, I kind of leaned the other way, and it was still a difficult spot for Duke to go out there, but it was kind of like scheduling spot seemed bad for Duke having to go out to Cal, but I thought that, like, looking at what the team's records were, I thought that Duke made more sense, based on what the number was versus what the records looked like. Like the market read kind of looked more like it was a Duke game. So I don't know. Jacksonville State at Sam Houston. Back to the Conference USA here on CBS Sports at 8 p.m. Jacksonville State, probably not as good as they were last year. I mean, they lost Rich Rod over to West Virginia. They played decently, though. They played UCF competitively in the first game. UCF was like a 20-point favorite, although UCF doesn't look that good right now. Jacksonville State played them close, but that performance doesn't look as good now. They beat Liberty at home, which is starting to not look that good, as Liberty hasn't looked good, although I think Liberty did win last night, all right, in that ugly low-scoring game. Yeah, 19-8, just disgusting, man. I thought they were going to lose that game, Liberty. But my lean to the under was correct. Jacksonville State lost to Georgia Southern, which is not a very impressive loss. They beat an FCS Murray State team, and then they lost to Southern Miss last week. Southern Miss is a pretty good team, though. They're Marshall from last year, basically. So this is going to be a 3rd road game in 4 weeks, man, and 2nd straight road game for Jacksonville State. So it's a little bit difficult going to Sam Houston, which is not as familiar an environment because Sam Houston, both of these teams are pretty new, actually, to FBS. So they're kind of like, they're not as used to playing in some of these venues here. Jacksonville State played last Saturday, so they have like the typical amount of time off here. Sam Houston, sitting at 0-5, though, by the way, Sam Houston. Sam Houston's only had a week off, so they actually played last Thursday. But what that does mean is that Sam Houston is used to playing on the Thursday schedule now. So even though they have less rest, that actually might help them. And Sam Houston, they've had a difficult schedule, man. They made a bowl last year. I know they're not as good as they looked last year, but I also don't think they're as bad as they've looked this year. They're 0-5, but they've had 4 road games against Western Kentucky. Their home loss was to UNLV, who was overperforming, in my opinion, but still. Then they had to go out to Hawaii, which they're not used to doing. That is not an easy travel spot. They had to go then to Texas, which Texas is still good, man. We'll talk about them for Saturday. And then they had to go on the road again to New Mexico State, who's not that bad either. It's been a grueling schedule, brutal schedule. And now they're finally back at home for the first time since August. So Sam Houston, yeah, I mean, they've had a really difficult schedule. So their 0-5 record is a little bit misleading. And again, Jacksonville State, I mean, their resume is not really as impressive. Sam Houston's faced a more difficult schedule. So I think that's why the money's coming in on Sam Houston, and I don't disagree with it. Jacksonville State's down from 8.5 to 7 here. If you want Sam Houston, I think you got to take at least the 7 there. I would not want to let that go below the touchdown there. Getting a touchdown at home looks fairly enticing. 61% of the tickets, surprisingly, on Sam Houston, but 68% of the cash also. So the money seems to be coming in on that side as well. I agree with that. I think that's actually probably the strongest lean out of all of these games. I know I said Sam Houston last time as well, and they did not get the job done at all, but I think it sets up better, even though Jacksonville State does have the extra rest here, and they are coming off a loss, but it is a more difficult spot for them, having to play another road game here. Unfamiliar environment. Sam Houston finally getting a lot of points here at home. Yeah, I mean, even though Sam Houston, they're not like last year, I think you wanted to play them more as an underdog last year because they ran the ball a lot more, but this year they're throwing the ball more, so kind of remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, that's the way I would lean there. And then Southern Miss at Georgia Southern also at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. So all these games are going to be being played simultaneously, all on different networks. Southern Miss, not a bad team. They're sitting at 3-2. They lost to Mississippi State, so obviously you can give them a pass for that. And then they lost their only road game at La Tech, and La Tech is pretty good as well. Southern Miss, good game last time out, as I pointed out. They beat Jacksonville State, which was really maybe their best wins so far, though their wins are not impressive so far. They beat Jackson State, who is an FCS team, which is formerly where Deion Sanders coached. And then they beat App State, who looks kind of down this year still. So that win doesn't look as good, although Southern Miss is still not a bad team. Like I said, they're Marshall from last year. They're going out on the road, though, and they haven't done well on the road so far. That one road game that they have was a loss, like I said, at La Tech, although La Tech is definitely better than Georgia Southern. Southern Miss on kind of the normal schedule. They played last Saturday. Georgia Southern only 2-3, and they played a couple of difficult teams. Fresno actually looks better than we expected, and they played USC. Lost both those games on the road. No shame in that. And they lost another road game to James Madison, who's also pretty good. Georgia Southern also beat Jacksonville State. So both these teams, I believe, beat Jacksonville State. So kind of a wash there. People will just see that both teams beat that team, whatever. And then Georgia State, their only other win was against Maine, an FCS team. So less impressive resume for Georgia Southern than for Southern Miss here. Georgia Southern, yeah, they are at home. They are coming off kind of a blowout loss there to a pretty good James Madison team. They're on the same schedule, having played last Saturday. Difficult read on this one, man. The money's kind of coming in on Southern Miss. They are a road favorite here for a reason. They are the better team. They're up from 2.5 to 3. 59% of tickets, 63% of the cash on them. So the money is coming in on the Southern Miss side there. And it looks like the biggest, the strongest total read looks like it's on this game too, with the total dropping from a pretty high 60.5 down to 59, with 68% of tickets on the over, but 53% of the cash on the under. So the money kind of coming in on the under. I don't know if I would want to deal with an under in a game that looks like both teams can kind of score here, but Southern Miss is probably the right lean here with the cash kind of coming in that way. They are the better team with a more impressive resume. Don't have a whole lot else to say about these games, but yeah, I mean, if you wanted to lay the points with them, they're going up towards 3.5 now, and you'd much rather lay the 3, obviously. I think the best lean in college football is Sam Houston plus the points, but I don't want to get involved in any of those games. Oh, yeah, Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. I didn't realize it was you until you told me it was you last night, man. Thanks for hanging out again. I appreciate it. All right, and then we got NFL, of course, to finish this off. I'm not going to give out a play on this NFL game. It's an interesting game. It's Eagles at the Giants tonight on the Thursday night game. The Eagles up from 7.5 to 8. pretty substantial road favorite here, and I don't know if it's justified. 77% of tickets, 74% of the cash on the Eagles. So the Eagles are public. The money's also coming towards the under, by the way. So if you like the Giants plus the points, that I think is correlated to an under. And the under might make sense here because the Eagles' offense is not actually as good as people might think. I know they're the Super Bowl winners from last year. They started out the season 4-0, but their offense has some problems, man. Their O-line doesn't look good. Jalen Hurts, as I pointed out, in that second half against Tampa Bay, had 0 completions. Looks like there are some issues there with the Eagles, and they lost a lot of their defense from last year too, although that obviously wouldn't help an under here, but this has been kind of a lackluster offense for the Eagles this year, man. It hasn't been that impressive. They haven't been scoring that much, so the under might make sense here. 77% of tickets, 70% of the cash on the over. Some money coming in on the under, but it's already dropped from 43 to 40.5. 41 is a key number, one of the key numbers for totals. So I think 41 and 42 kind of both are. So I don't know, man. I mean, if you wanted under, I think you've kind of missed the best numbers there to try to get. If you see a 41 out there, maybe it's still worth a little bit of a shot. But because the money is coming towards the under, I think that is indicative that the Giants are probably the right way to lean as far as the side is concerned here. I don't want to make it a play, but the Eagles did lose their first game of the season. It was their first loss of the season to Denver. And so I talk about this when a team's rolling along and then they take their first loss. And remember, the Eagles haven't lost since, who knows, like last year at some point. So they're not really used to losing. And when that happens, sometimes you kind of get hung over into the next game, man. So sometimes it's not that good for you. You lose that game. You have to go play another game right away on short turnaround time. And then they do have somewhat of, I guess, kind of a bigger game, maybe up next against Minnesota. I think the Eagles might overlook the Giants because the Eagles have dominated this series against the Giants. The Giants want some sort of payback, man, after the Barkley trade. Barkley got his sort of payback last year for the Giants getting rid of him as the Eagles won both games against the Giants last year, I'm pretty sure. And Barkley had a great season last year, but Barkley hasn't been that good this year, man. He's been stoppable, and the Giants, even though the Giants' run defense wasn't very good last week, the Giants' run defense generally has actually been pretty solid. The Giants' front seven is actually their biggest strength on that defense there, so I think they might be able to slow down what the Eagles are trying to do here. So the Eagles, they're going to try to run the ball, and that kind of plays into the Giants' strength, I believe, so I think that might help slow the Eagles down as well. It is a road game as well for the Eagles on a Thursday, and sometimes it's more difficult to play a road game. It is generally more difficult to play on the road on Thursday, but I think that doesn't matter as much because it is a divisional game. So obviously these teams know each other. So it's going to be, the short prep time doesn't hurt the road team as much because they obviously go to the Giants every year. It's short travel. They're just going from Philly to New York, so it's not a big deal really. But I think where the short prep time actually will be a disadvantage to the Eagles is the fact that they have not seen this Jackson Dart offense yet, man. So the Eagles on short prep time, they might not know what they're going to have to prepare for because they don't really know this Giants offense anymore. So usually these divisional teams, they know each other. They know what to prepare for. That's the case with the Giants. They know what to prepare for with what the Eagles are going to throw at them. The Eagles don't necessarily know what the Giants are going to do, man. So I actually think that's an edge. I talked about that with the Sam Darnold Seattle Thursday game where I thought that was what kind of put me over the edge as far as leaning to Seattle there. Of course, by the way, these Thursday night games, I haven't given out a play on any of them yet, I don't think. And I've been correct on every single one of them against the spread. 6-0 or 5-0 or whatever. So isn't that just great? But I'm not going to give out a play on this one either. But yes, I do think that is a bit of an edge for the Giants, having this offense that's not as familiar to Philly. I know the Giants looked bad last week, but I think that gives us some value on the Giants as people were like, oh, the Giants are here now. Jackson Dart has arrived. Remember, I gave out the Giants in that game. I've been the Giants soothsayer so far, really, because, well, except week one, I was wrong against Washington, yeah. But I did have the Giants against the Chargers. That was a win for us on the show. Chargers were in a bad spot. And then I had the Saints last week, and we got that one right as well because I thought the Giants, bad spot, first road game for Jackson Dart off that huge emotional win in his first game. And then they had this game right after this on a Thursday, a much, much bigger game against Philadelphia. So I thought it was a very bad spot for the Giants there. Sandwich spot. We got it right with the Saints. Giants actually played better than maybe it looks in the game. They had some turnover problems in the game. The Giants were winning the game early in the game. They actually outgained New Orleans slightly, but they had 5 turnovers in the game, man. So that's why they lost the game. -5 in turnovers. So the Giants, people are going to make fun of them for losing to the Saints, but it was a bad spot. It was an unfocused spot. Dart had a couple of bad throws. He threw 2 picks, although he had 2 early touchdowns in the game too. So I think Dart is going to recollect himself. He's back home where I think he's going to be a little bit better. I mean, he has a win at home already. I think he's going to get excited for this. I think he might have already been looking ahead to it. The 5 turnovers, you can clean that shit up, man. So I think the Giants are going to be a little bit better here. I think with the Giants, they're going to try to pound it on the ground. I know Scadaboo wasn't very efficient in those games. I think actually it wasn't the Saints game where the Giants' run defense was bad. I think it was the Chargers game where it was actually not that good, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, Scadaboo, I mean, I don't know how good he really is. He was very inefficient in that game, I think, against the Chargers, but he may be able to do something here. The Giants are going to try to keep the ball on the ground. They're going to try to keep this game within reach against Philly. So I do think the under and the Giants both make sense in this game. I don't want to make it a play, but I would lean to the Giants getting all those points there. I expect a better performance out of them this time. And yes, Dart having not had this short prep time before having to play on a Thursday, a little bit difficult, but I think it's more difficult for Philly to try to prep for what the Giants are going to do because they haven't seen it before and they don't really know what it's going to be. Whereas for Dart, he's just prepping for a system he already knows. So really he just has to adapt to the schedule change there. So I think that's a little bit easier to do. So that would be my lean. You're on Missouri. I gave out Missouri as a lean already. I said if you wanted Missouri, you got to get it at +3. Air Force against UNLV, maybe. UNLV is still way overvalued, man. Saab, yeah, 6-0 run, very nice. And Florida, yeah, I should have given up Florida as a play. I agreed with Florida, but I didn't give it out as a play. I don't like Bama in that one. We'll talk about that more for Saturday, but the power ratings guys are on Alabama in that game. I think the spot is really bad for Alabama. And the odds makers, they know the public is going to come in on Alabama. So why is the line like that? They're not just going to throw money away. Although it came out at 4. I think if you want Missouri, you got to get at least +3 on that one. Although I kind of think Missouri is going to win the game outright, which seems crazy because I agree with the power ratings guys that Alabama is probably like a top 3 team in all of college football. And Missouri is probably like barely a top 25 team. So I don't even disagree with that. I just think the spot is just really bad for Alabama and good for Missouri. So, but the odds makers are, I guess, not giving you too much value on Missouri there. And yeah, I mean, the number does matter, but I still think Missouri is the right side there. And hopefully the 3 is still there. That's going to do it for me though. We have all hockey today. We are on the Islanders money line, the Winnipeg Jets. We're playing all the Jets, man. Hopefully the Winnipeg Jets will be better to us than the New York Jets, who are 2-2 for us so far. And we're going to go Vancouver with a make your own -1 puck line on this one, split bet with, as you saw, it was like about 2/3 of the player on the money line as far as putting the money on, and about 1/3 on the run on the puck line there. I almost said run line. Those are going to be the plays today. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Like, subscribe here on YouTube. I should probably change the name of the show because, as Dirty Sock, I think, was the one who pointed out, our SEO is terrible, which I know. So I'd have to get some new graphics and stuff, but I think we got to change the name of it. I got to come up with a new name for the show, man, to allow more people to find it. We're on audio as well. The audio numbers have been ticking up a little bit, although they're real low still, so it helps me out if you listen on audio, Apple and Spotify. Reviews help over there as well. Tell people about the show. We're hot right now, man. We've been doing well the last couple of weeks, so we're back to like basically the break even on the year, which I know doesn't sound good, but when we were in a huge hole basically after March, because March was really bad, we had kind of a lull in baseball as well. Baseball playoffs have been good. We're 4-1-1 in baseball playoffs, 1-0 in the NHL so far, and we've been pretty good in football so far, both college and pros, so hopefully it continues. Covered in Uke, my ukulele channel on YouTube, and patreon.com/LearnToToad. You can get some bonus content there, and I think that's about it. And I will be on Tyler Yankee's show tomorrow, reuniting with the former Tower Game producer. I'm going to be on his show, Libertarian Podcast Review, or whatever the hell he calls it now. some different name on it maybe. Now, I don't know what we're even going to talk about, but I will be on his show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if it'll be a live show or not, but that will be a podcast appearance that's upcoming for me. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. Jeffrey, Saab, Dirty Sock, J-Main, all the regulars, man. Thanks for hanging. Ben, thanks for coming back, everybody. Definitely appreciate it. Keep coming back, man. Hopefully we get some wins. Hopefully the hockey goes well. Hockey's been good for me just generally over the course of since I've been doing it. I've been doing it for most of the time that I've been doing this, and it's been good. It was good last year. Let's keep it going. It's up to my second best sport over the last 3 or 4 years, so let's keep it going. That's going to do it, man. Happy Thursday, and peace.